Welcome everybody to the 2020 six-person mechanics presentation. I hope everybody has been safe in the preparation for the upcoming football season. Today we're going to discuss the six-person mechanics. I will not be commenting on any rules or judgment calls that we see in the film, but just proper mechanics. Being in the right position and looking at the correct spot will significantly increase your chance of a well-officiated ball game. Let's watch some film. For the opening coin toss, the timing has not changed for the 2020 season. At the 5-minute mark, the referee and the umpire will leave their goal lines and walk to the middle of the field. At the 4-minute mark, the captains will come out with the wings. And at the 3-minute mark, the captain will walk to the middle of the field with the referee and the umpire. The wings will stay at the hash mark and face their sideline as you see on the film. The one change for the 2020 football season with COVID-19 is that we're going to allow for one captain to go to the middle of the field with the referee and the umpire. With only one captain in there, referee and umpire, it's important that we are very clear and concise and don't rush the whole heads and tails, receives and defers protocols. Make sure that they know exactly what they want and that they don't mess up that coin toss with only one captain from each team in the middle of the field. We also should not have any photographers or anybody else really around us like you see in this film, as we should be socially distancing for the 2020 coin toss. Next, let's talk about kickoffs. After the umpire verifies 11 players with the kicking team, he'll address the kicker, hand the ball to the kicker, and then jog off to the kicking team's restraining line on that sideline as well. So here the home team is kicking off into the umpire at the bottom of the screen at the 40-yard line. Side judge, field judge, you're on your sideline on ours restraining line. The headline judge, referee, and line judge will be at the goal line. None of that has really changed for the 2020 season. What has changed for the 2020 season is the kickoff mechanics as it relates to keys versus zones. So we're going to do away with keys as we have in the years past. So no longer does the umpire have number 4 and 5. We're going to go straight to zones. And as you can see on the diagram, we see how the field judge, umpire, and side judge kind of divide and conquer the upfield, and the line judge, referee, and headline judge conquer downfield per se. And so don't get too bogged down on the lines. It does say yes to about the 25 or 30-yard line. A lot depends on your zones based on the direction of the kick. So if the kick goes towards the line judge's corner, his pylon, and we see all 22 converge in that one corner, we'd expect the referee to kind of slide his area of coverage a little bit towards that side, and then that would obviously expand the backside wing and his area of coverage as well. So as we see here on the kickoff, the kick is going to go right down the middle of the field, so the diagram we just saw will be the exact zones that we have during the kickoff return. And so as you can see, kind of the arrows coming in from every single angle. The headline judge has his part of the puzzle to look at, referee right in front of the return person, the line judge kind of coming over, and then the deeps and the umpires getting on it too. As in the years past, we want to make sure we are officiating a threat and not just officiating error. So with a zone coverage that allows for you to go find somewhere to look, some kind of threatening block to rule on. So, and again, as years past, we'll have the wings come up and get the spots during kickoff return. So well officiated play here mechanically with the referee starting the clock, and then the wings coming down the field, getting the spot, and your deep officials keeping that buffer ahead of the play as well. One last thought on kickoffs. If we ever have an onside kickoff, when we go to an obvious onside kickoff formation, nothing would change for the umpire, the field judge, or the side judge. We would ask the referee to still kind of be the center fielder back there by himself, but the line judge and the headline judge would come up to the field to in between the two restraining lines. So on this particular kickoff, they would be on the 45-yard line. On kickoffs, it's important to remember, on onside kickoffs, it's important to remember that the headline judge and line judge have primary on the blocks, and that the side judge and field judge have primary on the touching and the recovery. One other idea is that the side judge and field judge have all the spots if we do actually have a return, and then that makes the headline judge and line judge have the goal line during the kickoff return if we do have an onside and it's returned. We'll come back to reverse mechanics a little later on. Next, we'll look at the positioning during the scrimmage play. You can see the referee is 12 to 14 yards off the ball, and he's on the passer arm side of the formation. So right-handed quarterback here, he's on the right side of the formation. Umpire, he's going to be 68 yards off the ball. Line of scrimmage guys on the line of scrimmage, and then deep officials will be at 20 yards from the line of scrimmage. Referee is looking at the opposite side tackle pre-snap, and then eventually pick up the quarterback as he becomes threatened. Umpires looking at the guard, center guard, and the wing officials have the inside receivers and the tackles. Deep officials have the number one receiver on the outside. As you can see, they backpedal, keep the buffer, pinching a little bit towards the end of the play. 2 yards in a cloud of dust. Pretty easy play right here. But there's some basic mechanics, basic positioning on a routine play. Wings have the spot square in. The covering official gives the dead ball signal. Routine play here. Let's talk about keys one more time, as they are different between 5-person, 6-person, and 7-person. The side judge and field judge, the deeps, have the number one receiver. And so for the field judge, we're on the press box side, so the field judge would have the receiver at the bottom of your screen, and then the side judge would have the receiver at the top of your screen. We'd expect the headline judge to get the back right here and the tackle. We'd expect the line judge to get the inside receiver, the tackle. The running back's not necessarily a concern right now because he's not threatened. And so, again, when you have multiple keys, you need to figure out which one is threatened. So we're going to watch the action by the right wing back, and we'd expect the headline judge to be the covering official if we had any contact here. I'm not saying we do, but just from a who looking at where perspective, we would expect the headline judge to pick up on this. So a different formation, but again, looking at keys and areas of responsibilities pre-snap. Last normal play from scrimmage that we're going to look at, we have 5 receivers wide, so nobody in the backfield, no backs in the backfield. And when we get this formation, we are stretched thin. So it's very important that, especially the wing officials, find the threat and find who we need to be looking at based on who is threatened, who is not. And if you're not threatened, the receiver's not, then we're going to let them go. So during the play, again, we expect the field judge to have the outside receiver. We expect the line judge to have the inside receiver and the tackle. We expect the headline judge to have these 2 inside receivers as well. But as the play develops, we're going to talk about switching keys on this particular play because the number one receiver on the top of your screen just stops. And so he becomes the responsibility of the headline judge. And the other 2 receivers, the number 2 and number 3 receiver, go downfield. So we would expect a switch here to happen between the headline judge and the side judge at the top of your screen. Right about now, we would expect those 2 to switch. Headline judge, you can just stop right there because the receiver is now your responsibility right there at the 48-yard line. So you can just hang out right there on the line of scrimmage and not release downfield in this particular play. This play also talks about having a sideline catch, really tight sideline catch there. It's a good job mechanically speaking on the headline judge and side judge here of how we want to look and how we want to officiate this play. Now remember, both officials here should have the feet first, and then we'll worry about the catch, worry about the ball secondary. So if the feet are not good, if the feet are out of bounds and it does not matter what the hands are doing with the football, so that's why we say let's go feet first, both sideline officials, and then we'll pick up the ball later. But good job here, the side judge kind of keeping his buffer, letting the headline judge come down and get the spot out of bounds. Nice job. Next topic is goal line coverage. And goal line coverages start at the 7-yard line, which is similar to the 7-person mechanics. Here we're snapped outside of that, so we expect the deeps to be on the goal line as they are. We also expect the wings to have the spots all the way to the 2-yard line. Also, remember, deeps, you do have the end line. So here's a running play, not really on the topic, but if we had a pass towards the end line, we would expect the field judge and side judge to also expand their coverage to the end line. So again, the 7-yard line for goal line mechanics is the line of demarcation. We get kind of bunched up right here, but that's okay. Mechanically, we have the goal line covered. Continuing on with goal line coverage, we're snapped inside the 7-yard line. Then the wings have primary on the goal line, and the deeps have primary on the end line. Now, a couple thoughts here. We want to beat the ball carrier to the goal line. And so if we're snapped at the 7, we need to work ahead of the play as the wing officials. And that way we can be on the goal line when the ball carrier potentially crosses the goal line. Here we're snapped close enough to where at the snap, the wings should go straight to the goal line and then work back if needed. So here probably officiated, we see headline judge go straight to the goal line. We can see the line judge there to rule on touchdown. Now pre-snap for the deep, pre-snap, remember, we can move on that end line. So here we see the side judge in the far corner of the football field. Yes, wider is better, but it is okay for the deep officials on the end line to slide in to get closer to the action. You want to line up at the end of the day. You want to be wider than the wider receiver, but you can slide in a little bit. You should never go past the hash marks on the end line on our scrimmage play, but we can get a little closer if need be. Next topic is field goals and tries. And so we're going to see the referee give the signal 19, which is the rolling out procedure, acknowledging that we do have a scrimmage kick formation. The umpire will repeat that signal back to him, and they're both still counting 11. Wing officials, as always, are on the line of scrimmage. But as you can see, after the kick is away, we do expect the wing officials to pinch in, help the umpire clean up these 22 players, make sure they go peacefully back to their sidelines. On PATs and tries and field goals, umpire, you still have your guard, center guard. The deeps, as you can see, we expect the field judge and side judge to be under the uprights to signal, to rule on the kick. Also, remember, side judge, you are the primary responsible for the whistle at the end of a field goal play, a PAT. So pretty easy right here, pretty simple field goal mechanics. Let's continue talking about kicks by going over punts. Referee, similar to field goals, is going to line up on the kicking foot side of the kicker. Nice job here by the referee to recognize that he has a left-footed kicker, something that you might want to discuss during pregame when we get on the field. He's going to acknowledge that we are in scrimmage kick formation, make sure the umpire knows that so the umpire can address the snapper and the defenders around the snapper. Line judge, headline judge, we're going to hold the line of scrimmage so the kick is away. It's important for the wings to know if the ball crosses the neutral zone. If it comes back, that's going to help us figure out if we can throw the ball or kick the ball, or if K can advance the ball, a bunch of things in relation to the neutral zone. Something very different here is the field judge. The field judge is going to be on the field. He is primary for the catch and or touching around the receiver. Side judge has the blocks in front of all this action. So the field judge should be on the field pre-snap, again, at a distance that we can rule on touching. You essentially become the back judge if we did have a 7-person crew. But again, once we go up the field, and we'll talk about reverse mechanics in a second, but once we do have a return, if we have a return, field judge, although you start on the field, you do have sideline responsibility. So you need to work back towards, after the catch, during the return, work back towards the sideline. Next topic, let's talk about reverse mechanics. And this is when we have a change of possession, so a punt, a fumble, interception. The deeps are now responsible for the spot, and the wings are responsible for the goal line. Here we're going to see an interception, and we're going to have a really good job at the top of your screen by the headline judge backpedaling during the return, after the interception, to stay ahead of the return. So we have the interception. There goes the headline judge. Here comes the side judge who now has the spot. Side judge, field judge, kind of a new thing for you. So don't overrun the play. That way we can still have a good mobile box. Our cone of vision is still good. Now, even though we go into reverse mechanics and the wings now want to be ahead of the play as much as possible, we still want to have our eyes on the action during the return. We're looking for the player carrying a brick, going upstream. This is a really good play to find cheap shots. We have blindside blocks, block in the back, just unnecessary roughness potentially. So again, during reverse mechanics, where the wings have the goal line and deeps have the spot, still have your eyes on the play because we might miss something here. Next topic I want to talk about is penalty enforcement, and this is truly a crew enforcement. All 6 of us on the field need to know every single penalty, how to enforce it, all of the above. So here we're going to have a false start, and the headline judge is going to drop the flag on the offending side. That's going to help us recognize who has that penalty, and it allows us to speed up the process of our penalty enforcement. So the headline judge there will stop the clock, sound his whistle, drop the flag, and kind of pinch in a little bit towards the referee. We can go ahead and give that preliminary signal to where the referee knows exactly what's going on. If you have radios, you can use radios as well. But I also want to focus on how we walk off this penalty. We can see towards the end of this clip how the umpire will turn and face towards the head line judge. Those two are going to walk from the spot of enforcement together, however far we're going. So remember, we have the 1, 2, and 3 for the 5, the 10, and the 15 that we can give that visual signal to each other. We walk that penalty off together. That way there's no error in where we're walking from and how far we're walking. While the headline judge and the umpire are walking this penalty off, the line judge should be holding the spot of enforcement. Once the headline judge and umpire get to the concluding walking off the penalty, the line judge should confirm that, yes, we have walked off the correct distance. The umpire should wait for the line judge to get to that spot to where all three are on the same yard line when the umpire puts the ball down. It looks really sharp when we only put the ball down one time. So as a crew, let's make sure that we are walking from the correct spot, that we know how far we're walking, and that way once the umpire puts the ball on the ground, we don't have to pick it back up. We will lose credibility with the coaching staff and all spectators if we look like we're incompetent while we are marching off penalties. So look sharp, communicate. That concludes the 2020 six-person mechanics presentation. I hope this was worth your time. I hope it was very helpful. Good luck in the upcoming football season and stay safe.